Cache County Oral History Project, an interview with Billy Brown, interviewer Clarice Weaver, November the 10th, 1980. We was talking about working the oxens there. You think they work as good as the horses?
Well, yes, your cattle trained work just as well as horses. And I lived about 7 miles from Shounds, Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
And I went from Shounds home to Shounds, Tennessee with a load of lumber and unloaded. And them cattle in a year's time got used to that, and when they'd unload and start home, them cattle walk just like a horse going home. They know where they're going. And they wanted to get home, and then they'd be put in the barn and rest and fed in the barn.
Mm-hmm.
And later years then I went to hauling with mules.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a pair of mules, and I hauled 19 and 16. And I went west 1916 and quit hauling lumber.
Oh, you did. Well, when you were growing up here, where was the schoolhouse? Where'd you go to school?
I went to school on what they call a roundabout.
Mm-hmm.
That's the name of the community.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to school on the roundabout.
Now, they just had about 3 months or 4 months school in those days, didn't they?
When I first went to school, I think they had 2 months school.
2 months.
But it run up to 3 or 4 months, maybe, when I finished the 7th grade, and the teacher wanted me to go to college, and they had college at Boone. I don't think they'd had a college there too long in them days, but anyway, a fellow Orsman, Doll Orsman, he wanted to go.
What was his first name?
Doll Orsman. He wanted to go. We was in class together, and he wanted to go to Boone school, and my daddy wanted me to go to White Oak school up here in Horse Creek. My daddy was wanting me to go someplace, and some other boy was going. There's 3 of us. Grade Parker, maybe. I don't remember for sure who it was. But there's 3 of us anyway. We started to go, and we was going to stay all night at a certain place, or we were going to walk, go across the Boone. And got over there, and I stopped at Rock Creek there, my girlfriend. And them fellows didn't come on, they backed out. And I didn't know what to think, and come to find out, they sent me word they just decided not to go. And they knocked me out, but I did get the girl.
Oh, yeah. So it wasn't a wasted trip, was it?
No, I've got her yet. And I've had her so long that she just seemed like one of the family.
Well, yeah, I guess. Now, what was her maiden name?
Hazel Price.
Hazel Price.
Her mother was Lizzie Price.
Uh-huh.
Her father is dead. He died in 1912.
1912.
And so I didn't go any further in school out of that. But that school, them teachers, we had to stand up if we didn't have our lessons right. They made us stand on the floor.
Who was some of your teachers? What? Excuse me, go ahead with that.
And nobody liked too well to stand on the floor, and all the kids were laughing at them. Maybe they wouldn't let them laugh too much, but they know they was ready to. They had to be pretty quiet.
So you had to get your lessons and learn your books before you were passed on to another grade.
That's right, and you had to get them right. If you didn't get them right, they made you get it over, and you just better get them right, because there's Meiji.
Let's see now, for a while, no, I'm not saying in this county they did it, but we heard a lot about, social promotions that to keep the child from be affected psychologically while they kind of moved them along, But in those days, I've heard different people say that you had just simply had to get it before you moved on to another book.
That's right. Our teachers was all just tough on us. We thought it awful, but it is the very thing. But if you knowed what you had to do, why it wasn't so hard. But you're just scared, afraid you couldn't do it.
Yeah.
That is your fear was there.
Did you ever like the teachers out at Christmas time? Did the teachers treat you?
Well, one time, one wouldn't promise to treat. And by that time, I was up, I guess I was 10 or 12. I wasn't big enough hardly to get in on it good, but he wouldn't promise to treat. Well, they built a pond and had it in 200 or 300 yards of the schoolhouse, a creek. A creek was pretty good size. In them days, creeks is bigger than there now. They've dried up and not too big creeks, and rivers is small. And they got it ready, went down to the creek to put him in, and he throwed one in himself.
Throwed one of the students?
Yes, and Lord, them grown-up men, there's some grown-up women, girls. Lord, they were made for him all over. That boy crawled out, he run. And he hollered back, he said, I'll treat, let's get that boy, he said, to the fire. Let's get him to the fire. It's pretty cold time. And he said, I'm sorry, I'll treat. He said, he was just too fast, he said, just grabbed me, and I was aiming just having fun and go to the creek. But he said, that boy, he said, grabbed him and in the wind in there, he got tangled up and fell in the creek. He really, the teacher didn't throw him in, but he caused it. And they took that boy to the schoolhouse and put an extra fire on there and dried him up, and that teacher made it to the home and see it and talk it over to them folks. He paid to kill him, and they might to. But I kept,
if they'd have thought they'd shoved him in, they might have.
Yes, sir. And so out of that, we just told him, well, you're going to treat, and he'd say, just don't worry about that. we'll have something else. So he was afraid we'd have another pond and maybe just dump him in.
Yeah.
And we would then. I was up big enough that I thought he ought to have to treat, I'd have helped them.
Oh, did the teachers whip pretty hard?
Yeah, they did. Whipped just, they didn't go out reason, but they whipped them until they know that they'd been whipped. I got one whooping in school, my father. Our schoolhouse was kindly in a swag, and the land is up across the road, and the land on both sides is a little steep, and they called it a holler. And we got throwing rocks across from one side of the hill to the other, and seeing who could throw the furthest across, and my rock happened to turn over. They called it a sailing rock, and it come down, and there's a fellow down in there, and I bowed my head for it to miss him, but it hit him in the head.
Oh, my goodness.
And the teacher called us up and wanted to know who had done it, and they said it had to be out of 3 or 4 fellows on that ridge there. It just had to be one of them. Who did you see who hit you? And he said, no, I didn't. He said, who was the closest to you? And he said, Billy Brown. Well, nobody wouldn't say they all the rest of them said, no, we never hit him. We know we didn't hit him. We saw him so and so. And they said, well, it's left up to you. And I said, if I hit him, it was an accident. I wouldn't hit him if I could have helped it. And I vowed to miss him, and they said, well, you have no business throwing up there. Come on around. And he didn't. Well, it burned a little. He made me know I was whooped.
Please, this fella got hit too,
Yeah,
didn't
and oh yeah.
he? Was he there to witness it?
Oh, he was out there, and all of them seeing me whipped. And so I took it. I was a smart little boy. I didn't cry or nothing, but a lot of them would cry when they get whooped, but I didn't cry. I tried to laugh, but it was pretty hard on me. And so that teacher was an awful good teacher. They just meant what they said. And they'd have good times in the end of the school, most of them, and have plays. And they had 3 boys in the school, and they picked them. They'd pick them, would eat a pie, and their hands tied behind them. And one got through first, got a prize. And I forget just how a big box of candy and some other things. And me and my brother and an Alden boy got in on that. We was the ones and had the blacky face. We come in to eat by people that had come from off. They come to them schools from a good long way. And my wife, I'd been going with her just a little. Her and her mother and the folk come from over there, and they didn't know who I was. And somebody told them, and them folks, and I was named Sambo, and the teacher is slapping me. She's a lady teacher, and Mary Tucker, and she was a fine teacher. Sambo, hurry, Sambo. And they just eat the inside, and that old crust wasn't easy to eat. I wasn't near done made it about done. I was eating the crust as it went.
Mm-hmm.
I was keeping up with that crust. And at a bit, I just swallowed the rest whole nearly. And I got the 3 minutes. They had a big time, all hollering and carrying on.
That was a big, you say the people from farms never were come in?
Oh, Lord, yes, the people that go to their children, they have speeches, you know, where they get on the floor and say, have dialogues and things. Several in a play in school, and it lasts 2 hours maybe.
Oh,
And we just have a real good time. And then I come out and I didn't get half forced. I couldn't see. We both, all 3 of us is kind of mottling, you call it, you know. But I beat my brother and the other fellow too. And I never let my brother know that I was taking advantage of it. We practiced on pies eating, but we wasn't where the other one was.
Was it some pie you happened to like? If you liked the pie, that made it easier, didn't it?
This fellow Orban had people in Shady Valley, and there's huckleberries, and they brought him enough huckleberries to make them pies.
Oh, yeah.
They had them pretty sweet. It was a good
pie.
huckleberry pie, but that was all over our faces, and we had to root it just to where we could eat, you know. And it took a right smart bit.
Well, you put the pie on a table, and you just had
and we had
your hands tied behind.
And we had to eat it and not get it off the table. We'd keep it up. We'd have to take your nose to keep it off. Keep it where you wanted.
Well, when you were young, they didn't celebrate Halloween like we do now, do they? Halloween and did they do any celebrating?
No, I didn't know anything about things like that till just years ago.
And what did they do for Easter? Anything except maybe get them a new outfit?
Oh, they hid eggs and have egg huntings and things. Old folks took a big stock in that, watching their kids and everything. But Easter was a big day.
You went to church, I guess.
Yeah.
And did you have the hiding eggs at Sunday school?
Yeah, at a church. Yeah, didn't have none around the church, but people they'd hide them at different places, and then just small kids hid them at home.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's the way they carried on.
Well, we have a great to-do about Thanksgiving and Easter and all the holidays, and of course I know they wasn't observed certainly like they are now. When you were growing up, and some of them wasn't even, you didn't observe at all, as you said,
That's right.
Halloween.
They just have a extra dinner on Thanksgiving.
Uh-huh.
Dinner. That is all of us took Thanksgiving years ago.
Well, now we been talking about your trip when you went out west. How long did you stay, and when was it you went out west?
I went in 1916, March 1916. Just like 6 months stay in a year.
How'd you go?
Went up by train. I went on train.
Uh-huh.
Luther Jones and Henry Tucker, we went together.
Mm-hmm.
And took about 5 days to make a trip. And when a fellow loaned me the money to go, I was a 20-year-old, but I was under my daddy's hand. He is in control of me and all, and I was at home yet. And a fellow got married, one of my buddies, May Sturgill, and my Uncle John Orvin loaned me $40 to go on. Cost $40 in that day to go. Well, I had a little money, just a little. I'd been hauling, and I had money. When I hauled, my daddy let me have money, but he bought land all the time, and he saved, trying to help us later on, and I got money and everything. My daddy didn't know it. I went to a special school. They had a school at Ashland, and I got acquainted down there with these old folks, and they let me have the money. And I wanted Mace now not to tell it. No, you wouldn't tell it. I said, I'm going to be out. It'll be a Sunday. I'm going on Monday morning. Now I'll be later coming in. And
Was Mace your brother?
no, he was a friend of
Oh,
mine.
I see.
And I told him, now don't tell it, and I'll come to your house. And they're going to take, a fellow going to take his horse and take me, and I was going to slip one of my daddy's horses. Well, I got back there, and I was talking to Hazel Lynn. I left about at 9 o'clock and got over there and went home. And I didn't go on home, but I went there. And he'd slipped and told my daddy. And about next morning, about 4 o'clock, somebody rapped on the door. We were getting ready, so I'd get to Shannon's for on time. Had to leave early, and it was my daddy. And he commenced talking, want me to not to go. And he said, I'll let you have caves, you can make as much here as what I'll give you, you can away. And I don't want you to go. And I said, well, I've got ready. And and these boys all looking for me to go with them, and I just have to go. Oh, you wouldn't have to. And I told him I would, and he said, well, now I'll go home, and you got to stop. You should go up by, and it's about a quarter of a mile, that thing. And I told him, well, I'll do that. But I didn't want to try to get out of it, but he said, I must do that. And got up there, and there's all this grand men begging me not to go. Made it awful hard on me.
Oh, yeah.
Made her crying, and got me tore up bad.
Yeah.
And so, but I went on and got up west there, I stayed 6 months, and they had a load of sheep to come to Chicago, and they wanted me to come help keep them stirred up when they'd stop. They had, I believe it's 39 carloads, big carloads of sheep. That man that I worked for,
What was his name?
Hunt,
Huh.
Steve Hunt, and Johnny Hunt is in together, the brothers, and so I was to come back with them, and one of them boys, Johnny, went with us, and we'd had to unload them, let them feed them sheep about twice before we got over to Chicago, and when I got to Chicago, I decided to come on home. Well, over winter they didn't have no work to do much, but they was going to let me go up to Teton and work in a sugar plant, make sugar out of beets. They raised them. But I decided, and they said, now, you will come back in the spring. Oh, yeah, I'll come back in the spring. I'll be right back. And the intention of it is good. And I done wrote and told her, we just get married, and I wanted to go west, and she said she'd go. And they wanted me to run one ranch farm and keep about 1 or 2 men work there, and they fixed the dinner, and they had a bunk, and they eat and went to the bunk, and everything like that. So I come on home, and my daddy and them got ready for me to go back here, and the drafted done got me, and I just done again.
All right, I think. When did you get married, Mr. Brown?
1917.
1917. So you married before you,
October.
before you went in the service. And you told me your wife's full name. She's a Price.
Yes.
How many children did you have?
Just one.
What's his name?
Ralph.
Ralph.
Brown.
And you lived in the Creston area. And did you ever live out of the Creston area or that area, roundabout area?
This is lived in the roundabout area at that time when I was married, and went to the Creston area in 54.
I see.
50, that's
Well, all your married days, have you lived in the county? Have you lived in Ashe County all your married days, or did you
No.
move away?
No, we went to, moved up to West Virginia in 1926,
1926.
and we stayed up there about 3 years, and we came back to the roundabout. Then in 1942, we moved up to Elkton, Maryland, worked in a powder plant up there.
No, you did. That was about World War II, wasn't
That
it?
was World War II, that's right, yes. And we worked up there to shut the plant down.
Did both of you work?
Yes, both worked.
When did you become interested in law enforcement?
Well, I was in 1929. I started in a deputy sheriff.
1929.
That's right.
Well, and then when did you decide to? What year was you elected sheriff of the county?
In 19.
Now, what year were you elected sheriff?
In 1958.
1958. And how many terms were you elected as the sheriff of Ashe County?
Twice.
Twice.
You finished Kenneth Miller's term first.
Yes, I finished Kenneth Miller. He quit, and I finished part of his term.
Mm-hmm. And then you...
And then I run for sheriff, and then when I quit sheriff's places in 1970, I retired.
Oh, you retired in 1970.
I was 74 years old when I retired.
Oh, so you thought it might be...
People wanted me to go ahead and run another term, and I told them that I was wore out with it, and my wife was, and I just couldn't afford to run anymore. And Corky Miller was wanting to know if I was going to run for sheriff, and I told him I was not going to run, and he said, I'm thinking of running if you don't. And then later, Herbert Francis said, are you going to run for sheriff? And I said, no, I'm not running. He said, Corky Miller asking me and said he's going to run he's going to run. And I said, I told him if you run, why, there's no use for him to run. He said I'd beat him, and he said, do you believe that? And he said, yes, I do. He said, you can't beat him. But then he began to run later. He said, Billy says he ain't going to run. And he started in to run, and he come back to Francis. He said, Francis, he said, have you seen Billy Brown lately and talked with him? He said, I've not for a few days. No. He said, well, I've been out of campaigning for 2 weeks, and he said, if he runs, I can't be elected. He said, the people now are saying, is Billy Brown going to run? He said, if he don't run, we'll help you. He said, and that's my own people. He said, I can't run if he does run.
But apparently you were well liked and you didn't have trouble getting elected, did you?
No, I got along good in running for sheriff. I done all right. And then when the nominees come up, I always went in and paid my dues about 10 or 15 minutes before the time and see who all was going to run. And I went over, and Bill Austin and Johnson grabbed me, and they said, just come on and sign up. Said they thought I was going to run, and I told them, no, I ain't going to run. Well, you ain't got nobody again you. Said the sheriff out now, or Corky's out. Said he ain't going to run if you run. Now he's out of it. You just be you by yourself. Said there ain't nobody else going to be again you. And I said, well, I ain't going to run. And Corky come in the door, and he said, I thought Billy Brown you would decide to run. I ain't mad at all. He said, I don't blame you. I said, I ain't going to run. I said, it's yours. And he said, well, now I had it. And I just went on into my office then, and